I remember the night it all came crashing down, like a storm sweeping through the village. The elders' voices rose like thunder, calling John a thief, not of money, but of our culture. My name is Kwame, and I saw it all. It started years ago when John, a British missionary, came to our village. He was tall, with pale skin that burned red under the African sun. He spoke softly, always carrying that small black book he called the Bible. At first, we didn't understand why he stayed. Others came, preached, and left. But John remained, learning our language and even helping with the harvest. Then, there was Adisa. She was the village's brightest star, with a laugh that could stop the birds mid-flight. Adisa had a way of making everyone feel important. John noticed her, and soon, the two of them were spending more time together, talking, laughing, and learning from each other. At first, we thought it was innocent. John taught Adisa to read and write in English, and she taught him about our traditions. But then the whispers began. People said John's eyes lingered too long when Adisa danced at the festivals. Others said Adisa blushed whenever John spoke to her. Soon, the whispers reached Adisa's father, Chief Okonkwo, and that's when the trouble began. Chief Okonkwo was a proud man, the keeper of our traditions. He believed our ways were sacred, and to him, John represented everything foreign and dangerous. One evening, I overheard him warn Adisa, "You are the daughter of this soil. Don't let foreign winds carry you away." But love is stubborn. It doesn't listen to warnings or respect boundaries. John and Adisa fell deeply for each other. They began meeting in secret, away from the eyes of the village. I saw them once, under the baobab tree, their hands almost touching, their faces full of longing and fear. When John finally approached Chief Okonkwo to ask for Adisa's hand, the entire village gathered. It wasn't just about two people in love, it was about us, our traditions, and the fear of losing them. "You think you can take my daughter and our ways with her?" Chief Okonkwo thundered. John didn't flinch. "I don't want to change her. I love her for who she is," he said, his voice steady. But love wasn't enough to break the wall between them. The chief demanded John pay the bride price in cattle and goats, as was our custom. But John refused, saying love shouldn't be bought. The village was divided. Some thought John should honor our ways if he truly loved Adisa. Others admired his courage, saying love was a new kind of tradition. Adisa was caught in the middle, torn between her family and the man who made her heart race. In the end, it wasn't just their story, it became all of ours. What happened to John and Adisa? Well, I'll tell you this, their love left scars and lessons that changed our village forever. But to truly understand, you have to listen to the rest of the story. The tension in the village reached its peak on the night of the Festival of Drums. It was a time when the whole village came together to celebrate the harvest, but this year, the air was thick with unease. Everyone knew something was about to happen, they just didn't know what. Adisa was radiant that night, dressed in a bright yellow cloth that shimmered in the moonlight. But her smile was strained, and her eyes darted nervously around the crowd. She knew her heart and her family were at war. And John, he was there, too, standing awkwardly at the edge of the gathering, his usual calm replaced with a restless energy. Then it happened. During the chief's ceremonial speech, John did something no one expected. He stepped forward. The drumming stopped, and all eyes turned to him. "I have something to say," he announced, his voice trembling but determined. "I love Adisa, and I want to be with her. I know I've offended your traditions, but my feelings are real. I don't want to take her away from her culture. I want to learn from it, to honor it. Please, let us be together." The crowd erupted. Some cheered, moved by his courage, but others were furious. Chief Okonkwo rose from his seat, his face a mask of fury. You think love alone is enough, the chief roared. Our ways are not for you to dismiss. If you truly loved her, you would respect our customs. John stood his ground. I respect them, but I can't buy Adisa as if she's property. She is worth more than that. Adisa, who had been silent, finally spoke. Her voice was soft but cut through the noise like a blade. I love you, John. But I also love my family and my people. I can't choose between you. Her words hung in the air, heavy and unresolved. That night, the festival ended in chaos, with the village divided more than ever. In the weeks that followed, John tried to find a way to prove his sincerity. He worked harder than ever, helping in the fields, tending to the sick, and learning more about our ways. Slowly, some villagers began to soften toward him, but Chief Okonkwo remained steadfast. Then came the drought. The crops failed, and the village was on the brink of famine. It was John who found a solution. Using what he'd learned from his homeland, he taught us new ways to irrigate the fields and save what little water we had. It wasn't easy, but it worked. The village survived. This act of selflessness changed everything. Even Chief Okonkwo couldn't ignore what John had done. One evening, he called for a gathering under the baobab tree. The chief addressed the village, his voice weary but strong. John has shown us his heart. He has proven that he is not here to take but to give. I still do not agree with all his ways, but perhaps love is not about agreeing. Perhaps it is about understanding. Adisa, if you choose to be with him, I will not stand in your way. The crowd was silent, waiting for Adisa's response. She stepped forward, her eyes glistening with tears. I choose both, she said. I choose my people, and I choose John. It wasn't the ending anyone expected, but it was the one that changed our village forever. John and Adisa married in a small ceremony that blended both our traditions and his. They built a life together, one that respected the past but also embraced the future. And me. I learned that love is more than a feeling. It's a bridge, one that's hard to build but worth every effort. Even now, when I see the baobab tree, I think of them and the love that taught us all to look beyond our differences.